G'day guys and welcome back to Aussie Arvos, where this week I'm taking you along for the ride as we enter one of Australia's biggest and boldest car shows. This is my Summernats.
Before we get into everything that's involved in keeping this car running and getting it up the highway to Canberra, let's get right into the action. Now the goal for today is to test the cars and for the drivers to of course have a bit of fun in the lead up to the event. Now, I'm especially keen for today because today is not only a test of the car, but I will also be having a drive of the Camaro.
Now I've worked on this car with the team for some time now, but I was never expecting a drive of it. This car is something both Pete and Deb have put their heart and soul into, so as you can imagine I was a little bit nervous to get behind the wheel. However, with a bit of encouragement from Pete, I think I managed to drive this car just how it was built to be driven.
Now given that was the first time I've ever skidded the Camaro, I cannot exaggerate how fun this car is to drive. I mean, it feels like you're doing a million Ks an hour just sitting on the spot. The car is an absolute weapon. But if you guys thought my pace was a little bit slow, wait until you see what the car can do with an actual burnout master behind the wheel. Pete's up next. Now that you've seen what this car can do with a certified burnout master behind the wheel, you probably figured it's not exactly a stock engine or driveline. Now, I could tell you a bit about what this car is and what I know about it, but I might get some of it right, I might get some of it wrong. So I figured it's better to hear it from the people who actually built the car. So, Pete and Deb, what are we looking at?
Okay, so we're looking at a 1968 Chevrolet Camaro. This particular one is a RS SS. With the engine, we're looking at a 502 HO engine, crate engine, and on top of her is a 871 GM supercharger, and on top of that is a what's known as a PSI hat, sort of from the drag racing world. We're using that with this vehicle to run methanol.
Yep.
And methanol fuel is in the effect of helping keeping the engine a lot cooler than it would be on normal avgas or used to be avgas.
That's probably one of the most major differences is this engine as compared to a standard sort of street car engine or a modified street car engine.
You can use 2 to 3 times more, so a lot of the heat goes out of the exhaust.
Yes. Yep.
So it's you couldn't do it otherwise.
No, no chance of keeping
You're
it
screaming
cool.
the thing at 6,000 RPM, and I know people rev them a lot harder than that, but you've got no airflow.
Yep.
It's just really hard on it.
Yeah.
She's got an Aussie Desert cooler radiator, so the water comes in and is able to travel across the radiator 3 times to get extra cooling for it, particularly in a burnout, because you don't have a whole lot of
Obviously
high
a big
speed.
part in a skid car. Yep.
Yeah, you
Yep.
don't have the airflow.
Behind the motor is a 2-speed power glide. It was actually factory fitted with that. It's got an SDE converter with an anti-ballooning plate. It's still a standard case, just some minor things, but those power glides are really great. We're using them for everything.
And I've seen when you were driving, I've watched back the video that you guys would have just seen, it's pretty much hit it in first and you're straight into second. There's no messing around.
There's been times where I've actually forgotten it's full manual and it's just taken off in top.
What a problem to have.
I mean, it's probably old technology now as far as burnout cars go, but this thing has been unbelievable for 30 years. It's been on, when we were campaigning it, about I think 5 or 6 shows a year. It was on the podium at every show it went to for 10 years. Yep. It's just unbelievable. You know, it's the only car to win first and second in the same event. We've had some good times with it, and reliability wise, it's just really second to none. It's been great.
Yeah.
So that's the basic rundown of this purpose-built skid car. Now, there is a bit of maintenance to be taken care of before we're ready to head to Summernats, so let's take a look at some of what goes into keeping this beast running. One of the things you'll notice throughout this video is this barbecue sauce bottle. Now, you wouldn't want to use it on your snags because it's actually petrol. As the car has mechanical methanol injection and we shut the fuel off when turning off the engine, it can take some time to get the fuel back through. So rather than crank the engine heaps, we just give it a bit of fuel to help it start. We also sometimes use this to shut the car down as it helps to clear the corrosive methanol out of the fuel system. Now that we've got the engine up to its operating temp, we can get into our maintenance. First up, we're adjusting the valve clearances. This is a relatively straightforward process and, funnily enough, very similar to what you'd find on most standard street cars. Basically, we're going to turn the engine over to where the valves we want to adjust are closed, then we set the valve clearances for both intake and exhaust. We're also checking the valve spring tension. Now, this is not the most accurate way of checking these, but all we're doing is making sure they're still over the minimum spec. Next up, Pete is checking and clearing all the jets and the air bleeds. Now these control the fuel mixture both at idle and at full throttle, so obviously for the ideal tune it's important that they're both clean. Meanwhile, Deb is replacing the spark plugs with some new ones that she's already gapped. Then I'll remove, clean and reinstall the inline fuel filter, and we'll go over and check all the fuel fittings on the car.
With all those little maintenance jobs done, the car is just about ready to go. Now, we're about a week out from heading away right now, so Pete and Dale will put the finishing touches on the car and then we'll be ready to hit the road to Summernats.
Most years the trip up to Canberra starts out the same way. The team will meet at Pete and Deb's place before the sun comes up and we'll hit the road. Now, the trip takes us about 8.5 hours, taking it easy on the tow vehicles and stopping for fuel around halfway there. This year, however, we were in for a bit of an unpleasant surprise upon our arrival to Scrutineering. What we thought must have just been some nearby roadworks turned out to be the 3.5k line just to get into the sheds. So with no other option, we waited for 4 hours in the scorching sun to get to the front of the line, get the cars checked over, and once all that was finally done and with the sun setting, we headed to the event grounds to set up everything in the dark. And after only 17 hours on the road, we were ready for the event to start.
Would it be Summernats if we weren't turning up in the dark?
Well, would it be Summernats if it wasn't drama?
No.
First thing in the morning, it was time to unload the cars. Now you've already seen the Camaro, but you may have noticed we did bring another car with us. This is Super Ace, and it was originally built in the late 70s by four-wheel drive legend Alan Gray, who also happens to be Pete's dad. Pete and Deb rebuilt the car for Alan's 80th birthday, and of course he'll be up later in the weekend to drive the wheels off it. It's half Land Cruiser, half High Ace, powered by a 350 Chevy engine, and this thing literally lifts the front wheels off the ground on takeoff. The team's main event for Thursday was Pete and the Camaro's first skid of the weekend. Now the pressure was on for this, as for this Burnout, Pete will be competing in the Burnout Masters wildcard competition. This will give him a shot at the Burnout Masters qualifying if he makes it through. However, with over 30 high-level cars and drivers in the event, he's definitely up for some steep competition. All that was left to do to the car to get it ready to go was to put the Burnout wheels on and get it to the pad.
So that's day one of Summernats done for us, and unfortunately, as good as Pete's skid looked and sounded, it wasn't quite enough to make it through to the next level of competition. I do think this really shows what level of cars are competing at events like this nowadays, and just how hard the drivers are prepared to push the car to win.
As much as it would have been great to make it through and compete in the following days, it was definitely a lot less stressful the next morning. Knowing that for the next 3 days we'd be doing exhibition burnouts and not competition gives Pete and Deb the ability to do what themselves or the crowd want to see and not worry about scoring points with the judges. We had the car out twice on day 2, which meant 2 sets of tyres. Steve also gave some advice to pass on to one of us Aussie Arvos boys after a recent incident involving some wheel nuts.
What's going on here, Steve?
Just talking up the wheel nuts there, Dan.
Ah,
It's one of those things that you should do. Patrick, you take a note. Clickety-click.
you tell him. We don't want these things coming off. Second gear in this, I believe the back wheels at 5,000 RPM are doing about 250 k's an hour on the spot. So we want to make sure we get these right. Steve's all over it.
With the team and the car working perfectly, Friday was smooth sailing with both Pete and Deb having the car out for a spin. Now, something you may not know is that Summernats isn't just burnouts. They also run some great driving events here, like the Go to Woe. Now, I've had my Commodore enter in this in the past, and these events are great fun. Of course, this is where we'll find Alan lined up before the event even starts. Rolling into Sunday at Summernats, the main event for our team was a burnout dedicated to the McGrath Foundation. This is a cause close to the heart of everyone on our team, and we'd been running a raffle to help raise funds. Any donation to the cause got you a chance to get in the passenger seat with Deb at the wheel for our last skid of the weekend.
Here at Summernats 38, just finishing up on the day, and car is done. I've lost count. Can't remember, 6, 7, 8 burnouts.
Something like that.
All gone well.
And couldn't be done without our amazing crew.
Yes.
Dan included, been with us a long time. And Dan was the crew chief on our 8,000 horsepower nitro car. I believe probably the youngest nitro top fuel crew chief in Australia, if not the world. And I'd like to be able to hang shit on him and say that he made mistakes, but he actually didn't. And the thing, we campaigned it for a couple of years, and it was very well received. It was great. We learned a lot. So
yeah.
Back to basics with the Camaro, and it's a lot of fun to drive. It's a really good thing, but again, we can't do it. When we say Team Grey, it is a team. It's not just Debbie and I.
Yeah.
And all these people in the background, including Dan,
Marty, Steve.
Just
been Johnny in the past. A lot of people have helped.
And we get all the glory, but we can't do it without them. So, and our sponsors. So, got great parts, great car, and a great team.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that, we're done for this year at Summernats. The car's loaded in the trailer and we're ready to head home. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I hope I was able to show some of the behind the scenes of what goes into getting cars like this ready for these style of events, and the amount of work that these teams put into getting the cars prepped. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, or you want to see more of it in the future, feel free to let us know in the comments. Give it a like, get subscribed, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.